What's going on, everybody? John with ActionFlix.com. I'm coming at you with a special edition of the Action Fix podcast. This is the inaugural episode. I just thought of this today at work. I was at work today and I was doing this something special with somebody that you'll see in a couple minutes. And I just thought of it. I was like, anatomy of action design. So what I'm going to do is on these special episodes is I'm going to critique, break down, and talk about favorite fight scenes from martial arts movies and stuff like that. So I'm going to have guests on, I have, co-hosts and stuff like that. And today we're going to be talking about Bren Foster's Life After Fighting. If you've been living under a rock, then you won't know what this is. You should know what, if you're an action fan, you should know what it is. And June 7th, this movie came out, courtesy of Vertical Entertainment. Bren Foster, who is an Australian martial arts powerhouse, he's been in such great movies as Maximum Conviction with both Steves, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Steve Seagal. He was in Force of Execution. He was Last Ship. He was Wolf on Last Ship. We talked to him before the movie came out. We did a big interview where I went through his life and career and his other movies and stuff. And then we talked about Life After Fighting at the end. And I was at a disadvantage because I had not seen the movie yet. So we talked about it and everything. And of course, I have since seen the movie and I figured I want to talk more about it. So I wrote my review and then I did a video review for it because I wanted to get the word out there. So I figured, what the hell? Why not have my first guest on Anatomy of Action Design be the man himself, Bren Foster, who writer, director, star, producer. You serve craft services to the cast and crew, I'm sure. So how you doing today, Bren?
Good, John. Good. Thanks for having me again.
Oh, I'm so excited. We talked before I started recording. I'm so excited. I'm like, my heart's like thumping because this is like the first one. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the movie, sir, and wow is all I got to say. Like, I watched the movie, okay, and it's one of those experiences where you watch it and then it ends, and you just sit there for like a couple minutes, and you're like, in a good way though. You're just like what did I just see? And then you go back and you watch it again, and you're like, yep, okay, that's what I thought. And then of course I wrote my review for it. I gave it 5 out of 5. I go, a lot of people don't like to do 5 out of 5s. Like I've done 4.5s, I've done 3.5s usually and stuff like that. But it's like, is any movie perfect? No, but it's like my enjoyment factor of it. And that's why I gave it a 5 out of 5. And I'm not bullshitting you, sir, when I say this is one of the best action movies of 2024. And damn you, sir, because now because I was like, Beekeeper and Land of Bad were my like two favorite action movies, and then you had to put this movie out this year, and I'm like, well, son of a bitch. It's like now I got these three movies that are pretty much, well, unless something else comes out later in the year.
Yeah.
But let's talk first before we get into the anatomy of action design, because we're going to go through the fight scenes and that phenomenal finale. Oh my god, it's like 40-minute marathon of just like ass whipping. So let's talk about first. The movie came out. How has it been since the movie has been released? You've been doing all the premieres and the interviews and all that stuff. Talk about the whirlwind that you've been experiencing this past couple weeks.
Look, it's been great, John. The response has been phenomenal on the private messages with people on particularly on Facebook. I just can't keep up with it. I try and get back to a few people if I can, but
Right.
in terms of reviews, in terms of the audience response, we've had three major premieres. We had one in Melbourne, and just that was the initial response, and just from the what we got from the fights was people were just clapping and screaming and just really getting vocal about it. So that was a little like, wow, the first time that happened. And then we had our official premiere in Sydney at the Disney Studios Hoyts Entertainment Quarter there. So it was a big red carpet event. We had a lot of press turn up. We had some celebrities turn up too, and there was over 400 people at that official premiere. So, and then the same thing happened. Just the cheering and the yelling and just the response, and it just makes everyone's heart kind of pulsate. And then we had another one, which was a Q&A at the end of it, which was only 2 nights ago. And
Okay.
we had, I think we were in a, it was over 300 seat cinema, but that got sold out the night before. because it was a different kind of it was a cinema screening, but that you could buy tickets to, and you know, the cast were in attendance. So that got sold out. So then they moved us to the largest cinema that they had in the space, which seats well over, I think it's close to 800 seats. And when I came out, it was pretty damn full. So, and then that last on Wednesday, we had. Do you know the point where Alex is on the ground? We had
Yeah.
like from different actions, like someone's like, "Get up, Alex! Get," like screaming at the top of their lungs. I was like, "Whoa!" And then once this person did it, another person at the other side of the cinema started doing it, and then another person at the back. And then when he starts getting up, everyone's clapping and applauding. And then, you know, when he gets to that moment where he dispatches of the, I was going to say the evil Milan, but he's actually a really lovely guy.
I'm gonna talk about him, yeah, because like
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a wonderful human being, but boy, is he a dick in this movie. Let me
Oh,
tell you.
mate,
Oh
he's
my
a
god.
titan, isn't he? And,
You made him horrible. You made everybody want to hate this man. Let me tell you. Holy cow. We'll talk more about that later. So go on, continue
yeah.
your story.
Yeah, no, you're right, John. So, and then just the applauding, and everyone was just, it was such a like infectious evening. All three of them were, but the response was just phenomenal. And even that, the Hayden Orpheum, it's a bit of a landmark cinema in Sydney. It's beautiful. It's such a beautiful old school cinema with many screens and beautiful old school bar. And after that screening, they extended the actual cinema. They're giving an additional week run at the Orpheum there. So they've done that. They've extended the cinema run at United Cinemas as well. So it's been, you know, in today's landscape, most of the time, you know this, John, if it's $100 million or a $200 million movie, that's what generally goes to cinema, and that's what the massive box office. But I don't know how much we're going to do in box office, and it's kind of not really important at this time. But the fact that we're in cinemas and they're extending the runs, it's good. It feels good that, you know, we made this small movie in Australia with a lot of heart, soul, and passion, and personal investment as actors, not just myself, but all the stunt guys, all the other actors and actresses, and to see that the appreciation and the joy that it's bringing to everyone, and just, yeah, and as I said, just going back to the response with your question, like, just, it's almost like afterwards people are out of breath. They're like, they've been taken for a wild ride, and if we can help people enjoy themselves and, you know, bring them great action with, you know, in a decent movie with, you know, a little bit of a heart and soul behind it, then I think we've done a good job. You know what I mean?
I know exactly. See, that's what ticks me off kind of though, because like, of course, we don't get the theatrical experience, which this movie would have been like the fight scenes and the finale alone on the big screen. I just would have loved to have seen it on the largest screen possible. I mean, I have a 65, it's big, but it's
Yeah.
like nothing beats the cinematic experience.
No.
I'm gonna tell you a little funny story though. So I watched it once, right?
Yeah.
And then my daughter, she's 9, so she's kind of young, but she's been starting to watch the Fast and Furious films and stuff like that. And she
Yeah.
watched Godzilla and Kong with me. So she's like, I'm scrolling through my Fandango. She's like, "Daddy, what's that?" I go, "Oh, that's called Life After Fighting." And she's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "It's a martial arts movie that Daddy likes. And it stars a man that Daddy knows." And he's, you know, she's like, "Can we watch it?" Because I was like, I'll shield your eyes or the bad parts and stuff. Because she sees guys getting beat up and stuff like that in the Fast and Furious movies, and so she watched it with me, right? Of course, I shielded because the ending gets pretty. I'm like, you know, like you get some pretty decent brutal kills in this movie. Let me tell you, I was surprised like at how creative you got. So I was like, look away, or I'd cover her eyes, and she'd be like, okay, and then stuff like that. And then she got so into it. She was so excited, and then she was just like, she fell in love with you, man. She's like, "Daddy, can you move like that?" I'm like, "Daddy, you, not even at his prime could Daddy move like that." God bless you, my daughter. But then a funny story, the movie ended and she loved it. And I go, "You want to see something really cool?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then I put on her interview with us on YouTube, and she's like,
Oh, wow.
"That's him." And I'm like, "It is." I was a superstar. I was talking to you, and she thought I was just like the craziest thing ever. But like, you know, 9-year-olds, 51-year-olds, it doesn't matter. This movie, it's like Rocky, okay, to an extent. Do you know what I'm saying? Because And you're talking about the part, okay, and again, spoiler, okay, anybody watching, if you have not seen the movie, do not watch any further, because we're going to talk about everything and do the fights and everything. So I don't want to ruin your enjoyment of the movie. Go watch it, then come back and watch this and see us pick it apart. But yeah, that part where you're on the ground and you can hear yourself telling yourself to get up, and that is such a great sequence. And it's just like it's like when him and Apollo Creed both crashed to the ground, and
Yeah.
I had that experience with it. And how you were saying exhausted, I was exhausted when that movie ended. I was just like, I feel like I was immersed in this movie, and that's the biggest compliment you can give, is like when you watch a movie and you're just like, you know what, I'm sweating. I shouldn't be sweating, but I'm sweating because like the finale alone, sir, was just, I mean, what I'm not lying. Like when I say, like, because everybody talks about The Raid
Yeah.
and John Wick, and God bless those movies. They're phenomenal. They're wonderful. Keanu Reeves and Eco US. But there's no reason why your movie shouldn't be compared to the fight scenes in The Raid, or because you just, and I'm gonna pick your brain, when we get there. But
Yeah.
and I just want to show you that. And again, this is my review. Let me scroll up to the top of it. And I said Bren Foster is savagely legit in his directorial debut that mixes punishing martial arts action with heavy human drama for crowd pleasing results. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I'm like, it
Very
is,
good job.
it is, and I gave it, like I said, I gave it a 5 out of 5.
Very awesome.
Because people came at me, when I did, they're like, you gave it a 5 out of 5. I'm like, yeah. They're like, I gave it a 5 out of 5 because I thought it deserved it. It's like you even give such and such a 5 out of 5. I'm like, I didn't think that deserved it. So it's like, here's the reason why. Because one, it has some of the best action design I've seen in a long time, and people come at me like, well, that's because you know him and you talk to him. I'm like, no. I'm like, if I didn't like the movie, I would tell you. I'd be like, Brad, the movie sucked. But it's like I was,
Good. Good.
I'd be honest with you. Like,
Yeah.
no, it's not because I know him and I've talked to him and everything. This is an exceptional martial arts action drama. And again, another thing people are saying about it is it's too long, because it's like 2 hours and 5 minutes, which
It's
isn't bad.
2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
with credits.
advertised.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with credits.
Advertised as 2 hours and 5 minutes, John. But it's I don't know why that's happened, because even with the credits, we arranged it with Vertical, our distributors, that it would be a two-hour cut with the credits. So I don't know where that additional 5 minutes is been listed, because in some places it's listed as 2 hours, and then some places it's listed as 2 hours and 5 minutes. But I don't know, unless they've tacked something like credits, or not credits, like cards on.
I'm pretty sure my Fandango, because I bought it on Fandango at home,
Yeah.
which was Voodoo, before it got bought up. But yeah, I
Right.
think it said 2 hours and 5 minutes. But people were saying, oh, it was too long. They should have shaved 20 minutes off of it. I'm like, look, I was never because I watch movies that are an hour or 40 minutes, and I'm checking my
Yeah.
email and I'm browsing through the internet. I never had an issue. If anything, I love the fact that it was meaty at 2 hours, because with all the fighting that you have in it, you put enough of the dramatic sequences that you care about these people, especially Alex, who you spend so much time with him and everybody else, that it means something when all this savagery is going on, especially at the end, correct?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think just giving us originally the director's cut was 2 hours and 20 minutes. So
Oh
we
my
had to
God,
find a
stop the
way.
presses. Oh
Yeah.
God, no. Like
So we had
Marvel
to kind
movies
of,
go 2 hours and 40 minutes, if not 3 hours.
yeah, so
Yeah.
we had to try it. We had to try and get it down. But I think there was always sometimes, and it also comes down to my own personal taste and what I wanted to achieve too, John. So, but sometimes I think, the 90-minute movies, I leave them wanting a bit more, saying, "Oh, I wish I could have just get a little bit more from this person, find out a little bit more from them, find out a little bit more in the story." Sometimes I've wished it was a little longer. That's why I actually like the Raid Part 2 better than I
Uh-huh.
like 1, because it's just a little longer, and I get to spend more time. And it all comes down to personal taste. But sometimes I feel like the 90-minute movies, there's a lot of great ones out there, but sometimes I leave them, and especially if I like them, I leave them wanting a little bit more. So I didn't want to do a disservice to characters, and there was a lot of other stuff in there and that we had to lose. But it's not because it was bad.
No.
It's because it was great. Like there was, even with Samuel, the guy that comes with the gun at the end, there was a really good opening scene with him, which explores his character a little bit. And it was a great scene. He did a fantastic job. But in just terms of the story in the film, we had to lose some stuff. And that was one of the unfortunate things I had to lose, which, I was upset about. But, it will make that little story point will probably make a return in the sequel, John. But look, it's 2 hours. I understand that might be long for some people, but I also understand that there's been a lot of appreciation for it from the other side of the coin in terms of non-action fans, because we've had a few people come to these screenings, and they said to me afterwards, they said, look, this is the first time I've ever experienced a martial arts movie. And we came here to support Australian cinema, but we never thought that we'd be able to enjoy the drama as much as we did and then be blown away by our first experience of seeing martial arts on screen. And these are coming from, 60-year-old women and their partners. So we're also kind of, although, yes, this is an action movie, but we were also creeping into audiences that wouldn't ordinarily watch this type of film. So to me, that's a little bit of a compliment, but obviously our core audience is the action world, and we definitely don't want to alienate them. And we sincerely appreciate them. But I think, I just think I really wanted to give it a little bit more time to those characters. And that's why the movie went for about 2 hours.
So let's talk about the cast. So you got Cassie, who did a phenomenal job. Now talk about how did she get involved, and how okay, because no offense, I'm not big with Australian cinema, because aside from action movies and stuff like that, it's not like I gravitate towards Australian cinema. So I don't know a lot of these people. And I do know hang on, Luke Ford, who plays the
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Good Lord. Anyway, but let's talk about Cassie and how did she get involved, and how she was phenomenal, especially in this, because she plays your love interest.
Yep.
And she's having some issues and with her husband or ex-husband, because they've been divorced for 3 years, but somebody failed to give him the memo, and he's still acting like, I should still be involved, and she's like, we've been divorced for 3 years, it's like, but talk about her and what she brought to the role.
Yeah, it was funny with Cassie, because we an offer originally went out to someone else at her agency.
Okay.
And then that particular person was going to do it, but then logistically it didn't kind of work out for them, because they just had a baby and they lived in another state. So we opened up the room for some auditions, and we had a good 6-7 auditions come through from people with some moderate profiles.
Right.
But Nikki Glias, Cassie's agent, actually pushed her and said, would you like to see Cassie? And, we looked at her reel and some of the stuff that she'd done, and we said, yeah, okay. And we went through the auditions, and all the ladies were fantastic, but there was just something about Cassie when she came in and then she left. We were like, oh. And at the end of the day, after we'd seen everyone, I looked at Navid, and I said to Navid's my partner, who I mentioned before in our production company, and I said, that's Samantha. And he goes, yeah, I agree. So it was just her. And then, look, it was always her job. I don't believe in coincidences or accidents. I believe it was always her, and she came to us through whatever way she came. But her as the actress, she was just phenomenal. She went above and beyond. She was so easy to direct. She'd give me one thing, I'd say, all right, that was great, we got that now, that's fantastic. Can we try this one? Can we do this one? So I'd get about 3 or 4 different options. So when I was in the editing room, it was great. I had so many different choices to choose from. Look, she never complained. She was willing to, even get in the cages and get dirty. She's a hard worker. I would work with her again in a heartbeat. And a lovely, lovely human being, and so supportive, and gave 100% investment to her character and to the job. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about her. And look, her performance speaks for itself. I don't think
Now,
we have.
and then her last name is Howarth. Is that how you pronounce it? I'm sorry.
Howarth. I think both would be okay.
And she plays Samantha, of course. That's her character's name. And then talk about Annabelle Stevenson, who plays Julie, your cousin, who helps you at the
yeah, and Annabelle. Yeah, our DOP. I was looking at his show. I looked at a ton of show reels for DOPs, and then one particular one just kept popping out at me all the time. Just every time I'd watch, this one would just get me. And then when I was watching it, there was a scene in this DOP's show reel of this woman who was just so full of emotion, John, and it just kept hitting me. It kept hitting me like it was, almost tapping me on the shoulder, say, "Hey, take notice of this, take notice of this." And I was like, okay, wow. And then I asked him, "Who is this?" And she looked familiar. And then it turned out to be Annabelle Stevenson. And she was actually in the same actors agency here in Australia as me. So got on Zoom with her because she lives in a different state, and spoke to her, and had a bit of a read through, had an online kind of talk about the character and audition and whatnot. And yeah, I was right. From the moment I saw her in that DOP, I knew that she'd be a great Julie. And man, I mean, look at her performance. She
has some of the best. Oh my gosh. Like, cause it's her daughter along with another student that gets kidnapped by this ring. And there's some heart tugging moments where you're just like, cause if you're a parent, like, cause I'm a parent, and of course I'm watching it with my daughters, like that's a parent's worst nightmare, Yeah. Yeah. And she did a phenomenal job. And like I said, like she sold every, like, especially the hard sequences, where she had to really, dig in and, bring it out. It was just like, holy cow. Let's talk about Luke Ford. A super nice guy, I'm sure. I mean, pleasant guy. And of course, I've seen him before. Of course, he plays Victor, the bad guy. Now, I don't want to. Okay, nothing against Luke, but you did a great job, Luke, because I hated the shit out of you. Because I mean, spoiler alert, he cut his boy's pinky off in the. Yeah. I'm like, did he just cut his? I'm like, I thought he just cut him at first, but I'm like, nope, he. Okay, and then he's like, your mother did this to you. I'm like, oh my. Like, this guy's vile. Okay, first of all, he's just a stalker. Okay, you think he's just like an ex-husband who's stalking his ex-wife and is crazy, and she has to deal with him because of their son and everything. But he figures prominently into the role because he's the head of the child slavery ring. So it's like, so talk about Luke and like because he knew, like, making this movie is like, people are gonna hate me because, like, I am a vile bag of pus is the best way I could describe his character, because he's horrible.
Yeah.
So talk about what he did, because hey, the good guy's only as good as the bad guy, and let me tell you, he was like Heath Ledger's Joker, because I hated this man. So talk about it.
No, and I'm glad you made that analogy, John, because if you think about Batman without the Joker, he could potentially be a little boring, but once he had Joker involved, it's like, wow. Look, Luke is a phenomenal actor, and I reached out to Luke many years ago when I was in LA. Luke came out there, and we spent a bit of time together. So we were friends, but we weren't together all the time or have an ongoing relationship all the time. But we're friends. Right. So I sent him the script, and he loved it. And he's like, "Yeah, Bren, I want in." So that was just a direct offer to Luke to play Victor. He was just. I knew he'd be perfect for it. And Luke in Australia, sometimes I don't think he's won 2 ACCT actors, awards, which are major awards for some of his performances. But, I feel that he should be getting a little more recognition and should be working a lot more than what he does. But and even when he said this, he goes, "Oh man, Bren, people are going to hate me after this. I'm probably never going to work again because they hate me so much." And I said, "No, in fact, look, they'll probably notice you, and you'll work even more, But look, he's a phenomenal actor, and you've got to as a director, you've got to give him room to breathe. You've got to give him room to move. And what I mean by that is Luke will come in, and I know that I'm going to have to give him maybe 4 or 5 takes, because the first take, he might just go somewhere else completely. You know, did sometimes. And it's okay. And it might not be right for the scene, but the way you've got to let him do that, because he's going to come back the next time and give you something completely different. And then the third time, it will be different again, like completely different. And, you know, it was great because I'd get like 4 or 5 different options from him. And, you know, maybe 1 or 2 of them might not be usable in context of what was happening, but the other ones, they were gold. But you have to let someone like Luke just, and trust that it's going to come, and let him explore a little bit and do those 4 or 5 scenes, and trust that he's going to come and find the gold, because he needs to do that in order to him to get that 1 or 2 takes that's just absolutely perfect. And so it was very easy for me, and just because I had complete trust in him and his ability. And man, boy, I mean, look, you saw what he did. It's great for it's great, and I'm grateful for what he was able to bring to the movie, because without him, I just don't think it would have been as good.
Okay, this is like a nitpick thing, but I just wish that you would have just beat him up for like 20 minutes at the end. Just like throw him around. I mean, you were dead to the world by the end of that
Yeah.
that finale.
You're not the first person to say that, John. So I think you got a few supporters behind you on that remark.
I'm like, that's all he gets. I'm like, damn it. I'm like, I wanted more, because you know his comeuppance. I wanted to, like kind of like Dolph Lundgren in Universal Soldier, where it goes into the wood shredder, type thing. Like, can we do something like that? Now Bren, they say you should never act with children or animals, because they'll steal the show. And you, sir, Anthony Nassif, who plays Terry. Oh my God, this little boy. Talk about him. He plays Samantha's son, who is caught between both parent and a crazy dad and his poor mom, who's trying to live her life.
Yeah, look, Anthony is a wonderful young man. He's such a he's actually one of my martial arts students.
Okay.
But Anthony, what always struck me about him is he would always come in, and when you would say hello to him, he would really see you.
Mm-hmm.
And he would just stand there and he'd really look at you, where most kids would kind of shy away. And he's not overly talkative, but he has a gaze where you'd look at him and you say, "Hey, Anthony, how you going?" And he'd look at you right in the eye and stare into you and really, take you on board, where I feel like, kids grow up and they kind of get that skill to be able to look an adult in the eye and say hello and whatnot. But there was something like, when you look at Anthony, he's like an old soul. He's a very deep little boy. He's not, and as I said, he's not very talkative, but he's highly intelligent. He's very sincere, very well behaved.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just something about that stare that would always get me. And I always thought this little boy would make a fantastic actor. He's just got like so much behind his eyes and so much going on. And then, I ran through a few things with him, explained to him about the finger, and I explained to his parents about that, and they were okay with it. So we moved forward. And then what I did with the children, we came across some children who were actors, and they were great. They were nothing wrong with them. They were absolutely fine. They were not fine. They were great. But then the kids that we used were all actually martial arts students, and they had just such a discipline to them, and a way of holding themselves, and really, really good behavior. And so what we did for all the kids, including Anthony, was leading up to the film, we did about 6 to 8 weeks of acting lessons. And we worked on these with these children in the confines of in the given circumstances of the script, and told them this is what we're going to. Of course, we explained to them it's not real; it's just pretend. just to keep them, psychologically safe and whatnot. But I worked with them for about 6 weeks to understand what was going on, and just, it's all make believe. And
Let
they
me right there, just real quick, because I was watching with my daughter, because
yeah.
I was asking her, I'm like, I was like, are you? Because it gets pretty heavy handed. I was like, I'm over. I'm like, honey, are you okay? She's like, Dad, it's just a movie. I'm like, okay, good. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so yeah,
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm glad your daughter watched it, because even at the screening we had, there was surprising the amount of kids that were in there. You know what I mean? And a lot of the kids, because Dan Deltz, the guy who was promoting the event and who did all the screening and stuff the other night, he had posters and whatnot. And excuse me, John.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the kids were. I could see them running around afterwards. They all had posters of Life After Fighting, so it was cool. But yeah, look, the kids were fantastic. They were so well behaved. They committed. It was, when we were shooting those scenes, it was a little cold, and then one day it started raining, pouring, and there was a lot of mud, and they didn't complain once. We looked after them. We made sure we kept them warm. In between sets, we made sure we put Ugg boots on them, and we made sure they were well fed, well hydrated. But they were troopers. They were absolute troopers. They did such a wonderful job, and you can see when we cut to them and things like that. It was just, it was so great, and I was surprised. There's one scene in there where Ariel, she just shakes on the fence and absolutely breaks down, and all I did to her, I was like, say, this is, I spoke to her alone. I said, this is your one. That this is not a good place. You don't know what's going to happen to you, but this is when you hear, Alex's voice, this is the one chance. You've seen Samantha, you hear someone calling for Samantha. And then when you hear Alex's voice, this is the one chance, the only chance that you're going to have of possibly ever getting out of this, And then, oh my God, the whole set, like when she was shaking and screaming and crying, that was real. It was like, I looked at some of the sound people, some of the makeup, and everyone was in tears. And I was in shock. I was like, I wasn't in tears, of course, wouldn't admit it. But we were just so affected by there was like a silence after it. There was cut, and there was just complete silence, and no one could actually move for a moment. And it just, we all had to just compose ourselves and just, had to go up to Ariel and say, "Oh my God, that was amazing. Are you okay?"
No,
and she,
Ariel, no, you're like, there she is. Like she's now tell us who she is.
Ariel's actually my daughter.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was getting to. That's your daughter.
Yeah.
So like, yes. So how'd your daughter?
So that made it doubly hard watching her cry like that.
Yeah, like how dare you make your like torture your daughter and throw her in cages and and stuff like that.
I mean, Ariel is she's a wonderful little girl. And I don't know if you've ever seen some of my videos on Instagram.
I have, yes.
Mm-hmm. She is an absolute beast on the mats. Absolute beast. She is like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu is just next level. She goes in the boys divisions, and she'll win boys divisions. She just turned 11, and she'll go into teenage divisions against teenage girls, and she'll win them. The combat taekwondo, she just wins that. She's just a phenomenal little martial artist as well. But on the flip side of that, she is just the kindest, one of the most kindest little girls you could ever meet. And so there's a very good balance in her. And look, she loves performance. She loved the experience of acting. And, as I said, even though she's my daughter, that performance that she had in the cage just blew us all away. No one, not including myself, we weren't expecting that. And for where it came from, I just don't know, but I'm so glad it did. I'm so glad it did.
That like it's such a good performance, and like I said, like she was super in it. Now, last person I'm going to talk about before we go into the fight scenes is this guy, Ethan Masa Yamaguchi. I love saying that name.
Yeah.
Now, okay,
cool name.
Let me just say, like, this guy needs to be the henchman in more martial arts movies, because like he was like this, like I was like this, because I was kind of disappointed, because like you guys squared off, right? Because you will see the scene where you take out the guy before him, and you're like ready to fight, but then the cops, then Judy comes, like, I called the cops, I'm like, but I'm like, foreshadowing, so it's like, they're good. So talk about him playing Ethan, because he's just he's like, it is, he's like this raging fire that's ready to erupt, and it's just like, talk about him. I mean, what a great choice to play, like the bad guy's henchman.
Yeah, right. Master's got like it's almost like a deep growl within him,
Yes.
because if you meet him, he's such a polite gentleman. He's such a good, nice human being. He's so nice, and he'll speak to you and always give you time. But then, because he comes from a very traditional Japanese martial arts background, there is a beast inside him. And just, you can see it through when he kind of turns it on, and that demeanor when he just stares and whatnot. So that scene, and just capturing that demeanor that we had in the martial arts school was great. And just that grounded sense of waiting in the truck. He can be quite scary and quite formidable, just in those moments of stillness and silence, just through the gazing. And when I met Master, I knew that for that role he'd be perfect.
Yeah, and like I said, like when you guys finally do fight, like, and I loved like how he wore that mat, like that was like awesome, how he kept it on for a while, because I was
Yeah,
like,
I've got
good
to
choice, good choice.
say, we had to double him for the fight.
Oh, you did? Oh, no
Yeah,
kidding. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we had to, because time constraints and stuff like that. I mean, he was there with the mask some of the time, but we also had to do a little bit of doubling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No problem, no problem. Um, but okay, so before we get into the first fight scene, now talk about what picture you had in your mind in terms of the action design, because of course you've done multiple fight scenes in other movies and television shows and stuff like that, and you showcased your skills and everything. Because I thought, and again, I mentioned this in my review, it's like the perfect combination, the perfect blending of extreme martial arts, because you do your extreme stuff, the jackknives and the tornado kicks and the flipping
Yep.
and the flying, but then it's a perfect merging of MMA, and then you're on the ground and pound, and then, like, talk about what you wanted for the action design of this movie.
Yeah. It was, look, I wanted it to be really, really aggressive and really ferocious.
Hmm.
Sometimes with film, you can kind of see the choreography back and forth, and
Hmm.
I probably see a little bit in all movies because it's choreographed. But I wanted to, get that seamless integration of all the different styles, and I wanted to kind of push something a little unique. The integration, transferring from one system to another. I didn't want it to be like, oh, now he's doing Filipino martial arts, now he's doing Taekwondo, now he's doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I kind of wanted to make the transitions very smooth and seamless, like they belonged together, with the action design. It's not an easy thing when you want both parties, like the henchmen, the bad guys, and the good guy, to kind of, both of them get to that level. It's easier if it's just you go bang, 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 and you're knocking the stunt guy out. It's very easy. But
Hmm.
when the stunt guy is back and forth and you're exchanging blows more, they've got to be of a certain caliber and a certain level, especially if you want to get that heightened level. Like two ballroom dancers. You can't have one ballroom dancer who's, absolutely amazing, and then, partner them with someone who's, okay, but just can't quite perform at that level. So that was very important to me, and that was one of the reasons why I had to use here in Australia, my own stunt team, my own stunt guys and students and whatnot. But yeah, look, I guess what I was really hoping to achieve, John, was something just a little different, something a little unique, something a little bit more contact based. paying homage to the old era of Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung and whatnot. But I think I've spoken to you about that already.
Yes.
But yeah, that was the goal. It was just I wanted to achieve something a little different, more contact based, a little more aggressive, more ferocity in there. And I wanted to tell a story through the action design. And I think I may have touched on this before, but in the beginning of the fight, he's only fighting to knock them out or to choke them out,
Yes.
stop them. But then as you can see the progression, he fights the knife guy and it's like almost life and death, and he kills him, but that's an accident.
It is. Yes, he falls and he stabs himself when he hits the ground rolling down the stairs.
Yeah. And it doesn't quite land on him yet. He just looks at it like, okay, he's dead. Good. But it doesn't land. And then he goes in, keeps moving forward, and then just cut to the doorknob. But then when the doorknob comes in, he murders someone. And he realizes at that point, he picks up the gun, he gives it to Sam, says, you got to point and shoot. Yeah. And then he comes back out and he has a moment where he's like, he walks past the other guy that he just killed with the doorknob, kind of doesn't look at him. Because he's like, I know it's there, but I'm struggling to take what I've just done. Because he's not a soldier. He's not a murderer.
You're the guy that got pushed, because this is and I said this in my review, it's the last resort. You have to do this because they are trying to kill not only you, but Samantha, and they want to kidnap the girls. Like, you have to. I mean, there's just a point where you're just like, you know what? You can't just arrest these guys because they want to kill me, So.
Exactly. And they're not going to stop. And they're just not going to stop. And then as soon as he gets around the corner, he sees the knife guy down and then just hits him for a moment. It just, whoa, my God, what am I? This is what I have to do now, because really he's just an average person who's a combat athlete and happens to have like a great set of skill, and it's been forced into this highly volatile situation where he's got no choice but to put it all out there on the line. And I guess Alex is just blessed that he happened to be a world-class combat athlete, and he was able to use those skills to kind of prevail in the end. But as it progresses, you can see like it gets a little more violent until it's to the point.
Hold off. Let me stop right there, because let's talk about it when when I put the video on. So, and I love the fact, like, real quick before I put the first fight scene on, but I love when you tell her, no matter what you hear, don't because like they're in there. Do you see the reactions of the kids? Because they hear you fighting and they hear like all this. It sounds like Armageddon, and I just love how you say that. You're like, no matter, because you're gonna hear some really extreme stuff going on in the next couple minutes. Yeah, so yeah. Absolutely. All right, so let's get to the good stuff here. So so let's talk about the first fight where Victor brings his flunky. Now, talk about this actor who played his right hand man.
Oh, Mike Duncan. He was that's Mike Duncan. Mike Duncan playing Milan very quickly became a very favorite character of mine. There's another one. It's to me like the eyes are the window of the soul, and Mike comes from a stunt background, but he's been in the industry for forever, and he's one of Australia's leading stuntmen. He's so talented, from driving to high falls to taking stacks and wrecks, and he can do it all. He's just so versatile, including martial arts and fight stuff. But he has such a deep presence to him, and when you look at him, and his face doesn't actually tell you this, but he's another really solid, kind human being. But there's so much
and you don't get that. Like, you look at this guy, and that's unfortunate. Guys that look like this, have astigmatism about him. It's like, oh yeah, he's got to be some guy that's an asshole, right? But no, it's like he's a burly guy that's bald and has a beard.
But if you look at his eyes, he can be like very menacing. You know what I mean? And he started, and when the camera was on him, I started to like, wow, man, this is great. So during filming, his character just exponentially grew, especially even the last part when he gets to beat up Alex a little bit. But man, he became a titan. And I've got to say, John, in the cinema, when his demise comes, the cheers just go, and the clapping. It was probably bigger than when. No, it was actually. It was the big. I've got to say, it was probably the biggest one when he got it. You know, everyone was just like, well, "Yeah!"
And I'll show. Yeah, oh boy, does he get it! But let's talk about your thought process and as I play the fight.
Okay.
As like so talk because this is actually the real first fight of the movie. So talk
Yeah.
about what you wanted for this fight. I love how he pushes you, and you're just like, okay, yeah. It's because you're like, and okay, I love, and I just love your technique, your combos, So like process for like designing this fight.
So if you notice in this fight, he never actually punches him or hits him in the face.
No,
and that's restraint on Alex's part. Like the bicep punch in a leg kick. He's coming forward to him now because he realizes that this guy's going to keep getting back up. But look, it's all body shots. He doesn't want to actually hurt this guy to the point where he's going to damage his face or not. So he's beating this guy up, but he's keeping it very body orientated. So from Alex's part, there's still a lot of restraint. Even here, he slaps him. Doesn't actually punch him or strike him. There's no elbows, there's no nothing. And here he puts the choke on. And you can see Milan is actually turning purple here.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, were you really choking him? I mean, like, was it like?
It was on tight, but Mike is such a good actor. He put that purple on himself. He held his breath.
Yeah. I love the reaction. Like your students start showing up, and they're like, I love because it's like consequences. It's like, but you had it's not like I felt bad for you because and we'll see again in another fight. Your students' reactions. It's like. Because I was kind of like, do you see? It's not like you set out to fight any of these guys,
No.
It just happened, and it sucks. And it's like you did your best to get because again, what's the first line of self-defense? Is like walk away, quell the situation without that type of thing. But it's just like these guys weren't listening, It's like, and you had to do it, Now let's go into the next one here, where it's in the dojo, and this is where Ethan. This is So this is where Ethan shows up with the other guy because Victor, of course, sends him. So talk about the other actor that's in because he's the one that you fight in this scene.
Yeah, I fight Harkin in this scene. Harkin's a taekwondo guy. He does a little bit of Brazilian jiu-jitsu too. So we just wanted to change things up a little bit. So I knew of Harkin, and I brought him in, and we had a little bit of a test fight run rehearsal, I guess, and he did great. So we pulled him in for the role. Now the thing about
let
me
just say one thing here, okay? So one, they hit your students, but you were having them walk away. He attacks you.
Yes.
And you have to defend yourself. That's
And this is the last, in reality, this is the last thing that you want. But these things do. Many years ago, I was in my early 20s, and when because I had my martial arts school, obviously, but we had someone come into my my kickboxing class, and there's been a few incidences like this, and it was absolutely walloping one of the students, and I had to stop it. And
this was based on a real situation that you experienced.
Yeah. And I had to stop it. And I said, no, come. He goes, oh, and the guy was just insistent that he kept wanting to spar. And I said, okay, well, you come with me and spar me. So I sparred him. I didn't hurt him or anything, but I, made sure that he wasn't hurting anyone else. You know what I mean? Right. And then it turned out sometimes you have to put a little bit of a hard line with people. And in that instant, I had to. But then he ended up becoming my student. So after I sparred him, I think, he ate a little bit of humble pie.
Well, then he's like, well, I want to learn from you because...
Yes, yeah. And then he was probably one of my... Yeah, he was a great student for about 4 years. He stayed with me after that. And he got exponentially better, but not only physically, mentally, and his whole attitude kind of shifted because he was in a traditional martial arts environment. And he learned to respect and he learned to take care of other people after that. And I never, ever had another problem with him like I did on the first day he came. And after that, he was just an exceptional student.
I'm impressed though because this guy looks like he's wearing tight jeans too, and he's like he's being able to deliver those kicks. I'm like, you're in a gi, but like he looks like he's wearing some tight. It's like, are those Chuck Norris?
I think he's got tracky pants on, stretchy tracky pants. That's another thing. We were very conscious of wardrobe, making sure that wardrobe people could move in, and and that was a bit of an arduous task, trying to find clothing that would fit us all. Especially me, I searched high and low for the jeans that I had to use.
Now, like real quick, let me go back. Like I like how again, let me just rewind a little bit. So like I like how like here's what I like because I like how you the techniques like you attack the legs, you got the flash, but then you got throws, you got joint manipulation. It's like so it's like you're putting it's like you're just putting it into the pot and mixing it up, which is what I love about it.
That's right. So you can see here, I'm slapping his hand and I'm hitting his hand because I'm trying to get a reaction from him.
Just enough to be like, look, stop, or I'll just keep going, type of thing. And he does. He's like, he just gets back up. You knock him down, and you're just like, all right, I'm done, And that's when you're just like, and then you really wail on it. And I love the sound effects. How did you get the sound effects?
We had an amazing sound designer called Sam Hayward. He watched the film, and he was he just loved it. He's a huge martial arts fan, and the guy just works. He's an Emmy award-winning sound designer out here in Australia. So the minute he watched the film, he's like, "Bren, I want to do it." I was like, "Great!" So we had Spectrum Films over at Disney Studios give us the space for an incredible deal, and I spent a whole week in there with Sam doing the sound design, and man, it's bone crunching. I wish you really, wish you got to,
because that's what makes a good martial arts movie. It's not necessarily the visual; it's what you hear too. And like when it sounds realistic, but it sounds devastating, and that's like because I was listening to it in stereo, and I was like, yeah, I'm like this it's the whole experience. Like, yeah, exactly.
Huge credit to Sam for that. I wish you could have seen it in. I know the USA did do a limited cinema release. I know it was somewhere in
nowhere near where I live though. I'm in Panama City now, which is kind of better because I was in New Hampshire before. Nothing came to New Hampshire.
Right.
I was fortunate enough to get Land of Bad, which had a limited release, and when I saw it was playing in one of my theaters, I was like, "Oh my god!" And so I went out to see it, but of course, no. I'm like, yeah. So I don't know where they put it out here, but it wasn't anywhere near me, unfortunately.
No, it was very few cinemas. But look, if you've got good, and it sounded like you did, if you've got good speakers around it, set up, then I think it's going to do it justice. I did play it on when we were just going through the edit. I remember I put it on one of my TVs once, and there was no sound bars or any good speakers. And I was like, oh my god, what's happened to the sound? So I freaked out a little bit, and then it just dawned on me, oh, it's because there's no sound set up here. Okay, all good. But yeah, huge props to Sam Hayward for his work. Huge props.
I mean, like when you tell us about the first time, like when you watched it, like hearing it for the first time with what he did, were you just like, yes? Or were you just like, this is what I want?
Yeah. I mean, because we were going through, and I was there too, and
so was it like daily kind of thing, like you watch, like he would do, and then you watch some of it, and or was it like one experience all at once?
No, we do. I was there working with him, doing the sound with him. But I mean, like he has all the appropriate sounds and whatnot, and he puts up, and I'll be like, oh, can we put a little swoosh here? Oh, can we put a little crunch there? And I remember at one point he goes, it never ends. But
he must have been like the finale. He must have been like, Christ, Brett, how long is this thing? This is like taking forever. I'm like, it's like 40 minutes long. I'm like, I want to go to lunch.
Look, he's a phenomenal talent, man. And it was so nice to have him, John. It was just, I was like, I think in so many ways, just all the right people just ended up gravitating to the project. So yeah, but yeah, great job from Sam Haywood, great job from Jason Fernandez, our original score music composer, Paul Black, even Richie. He did another guy. Richie did the song for the Ario fight, which was badass. So yeah, we were blessed to get a lot of good people, mate. So super grateful for them.
And what I liked about the movie, look, again, like I said, we're talking about the length of the movie, how some people are complaining about it, and I just want to be like, shut up. But other than that, I like how you peppered in like these fights throughout. So it's like, okay, so the first 2/3 of the movie, it's we're gonna do the heavy-handed drama, and because we all know the ending and everything, but it's like for the fans of action, you were like, look, I'm not gonna like have you wait until the end of the movie. I'm like, I'm gonna like put some of it, So that's what I loved about it too. It's like you put a few of these fights. It's kind of like building up, if you will.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna talk about because each one it gets a little more extreme. Like you had the first fight with what was his name again? I'm sorry, that played the.
First fight was with Mike Duncan, who played Milan.
Yes, and then you had the fight where Ethan comes in again. What was the other guy's name? I forget.
That guy was Harkin.
Harkin. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Harkin. And now you have this guy. Talk about this act. What's his actor's name? The guy that wants to fight. He feels like he got cheated because you retired and he wanted to take the title away from you.
Yeah. Eddie was great. Eddie's a longtime friend of mine, and he's also my student when I was in Los Angeles. He was my Muay Thai and kickboxing and taekwondo student. And Eddie's a big dude. He's about 6'6". Mm-hmm. Super tall. He's Mexican Colombian, the tallest Mexican and Colombian I've ever met. But he's awesome. He runs Low Boss Boxing in Los Angeles on Melville Road, where he teaches boxing, and he has a lot of fighters and MMA people that come to him, and he also teaches Muay Thai.
Were you looking at like, holy cow? I'm like, good thing I can kick high because this guy is like freaking huge.
He's super tall.
Now, here's what I'm saying though: like each fight builds up, and now this is the last fight before the finale, and like each one gets bigger and badder. Is what I'm saying. And I love what you say to him because they're like, if we're gonna do this, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this right. Like somebody's gonna get knocked out, type of thing, which I love.
Yeah, they're gonna fight to the end, and look, you can see this fight.
And this is like the MMA, like you got the ground and pound, you got the submissions, and that's what because you're like, what, I'm gonna put the kicks in and everything that everybody loves, but I'm also gonna show the realism, because this is how it is now. This is what it's come to, like like that.
Look, it's very like, even then, like he had his back, he gets the arm over, Alex gets his back to the floor. Here there was a scissor, he comes up, There's a lot of intricate stuff going on in this fight. There's a lot of MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu techniques, wrestling being used. And what I wanted to get across this, and the difference with this fight is sport, John. There's an agreed respect and an agreed set of rules here. Like these guys,
it's like you're fighting in front of a crowd. Like if you were fighting in front of a crowd.
And that's
so like, it's not going to be like, where somebody's going to cheat, or, it's like, it's totally like if we were in Madison Square Garden fighting in front of a crowd of people.
Exactly. They've got an agreed, unspoken agreement that they're going to fight, but they're going to stay within the confines of the sport. Like no one's grabbing each other's genitals or poking an eye or trying to rip the trachea out of the throat. They've stayed to the confines of the sport. Which is what it is, and it's done out of mutual respect for each other, and because you got to just speak about what's going on between these two guys, because right now the combat athlete, they suffer so much. It's not just a physical thing for them. There's a lot that's going on internally, and the Ario character, there's so much going on for him never feeling like enough. And even Alex, that he's past it, he also knows that on his last outing, he did the most shameful thing that someone could do as a combat athlete, which is not give it your best and quit. So there's a lot of demons that they're both carrying, and also he's a little bit numb, Alex, from everything that's going on in his life at the moment, that this is an opportunity for him also just to feel something. and as we can see, look, there's a scissor sweep here. He comes up, he gets the overhook on the arm, he lifts the leg for the single takedown, throws the jumping knee straight into the throw. So it's a lot of interaction that's quite going on there. You know what I mean?
How long did it take you to practice? Like, how long does it take to like get this down to the point where you guys can do this in your sleep?
This one was a hard one because I worked out the choreography with my guys, and we got it to Eddie, and we only had Eddie for 3 or 4 days, including filming. So I think we got to actually, no, a little bit longer, maybe a week. So we got to train for 3 days. He had the video for quite some time of the choreography, so he was able to practice it. And then when we came, it was just getting the rhythm together, and we eventually got it.
And then, of course, so the question is answered. What would have happened? It's like, yep. It's like, there you go. It's like, thank you. Good night. I'm going home.
Yeah. And there's also that question that was kind of floating around, because Alex has nothing to lose. If he beats Alex, doesn't matter for Alex, whatever. I'm older, I'm retired, I've gone through so much, I'm not the fighter I was.
Plus,
but if
plus, what you're going through now, because this takes place after the girls are kidnapped, type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. But but now Ario has to go away, and because he says to him, "But if I beat you, can you live with this?" And Ario just looks at him because he can't, John.
You wrote this, how did I love the lines. Yeah, exactly. How did you think of this? Because I love how he comes into the dojo, and you look like you're like, oh man, I'm not in the mood. It's like, because he's like, he's been trashed. He's like, look, I don't want any trouble. I know what's going on. I'm so sorry for what's happened. He's like, I just want to train. I thought it was like, because that's what martial arts is all about.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, he had his issues with you. I mean, you didn't really have issues with him. You just, but he was just like, he because for the first part of the movie, he's this arrogant prick, is like, he's on YouTube, he's mouthing off, but then he's like, hey, and his true persona comes out, which was pretty cool.
And I wanted to look. So most of the time, what will happen, you'll get the guy coming in snarling and growling, and and I just, let's flip it on its head. I thought, combat athletes, soldiers, they get a bad rap from writers sometimes because they write them as these one-dimensional robots, but they don't realize, I've said this before, I think I might have said it to you before, John, but they're still human. They feel pain, they laugh, they cry, they everything. And when we see Ario comes in, he comes in with a very genuine request. He comes there to fight Alex. It was always his intention.
Yes.
He goes, isn't coming out, there's never going to be the bells and whistles, but for himself, Ario has to know, in order for him just to function as a martial artist, fighter, human being, he has to know for himself how he would be and how he would fare up against Alex. So he takes a different route and comes over and has a genuine plea and genuinely asks him, I never beat you. I have to know how I would go against you. I know you. He knows Alex through his last fight because he could tell. He's a smart guy, Ario. And that's why he says to him, when you lost your last fight or threw it, and he just looks at him. And then Alex looks at him, and I don't say anything. And then Alex looks away and knows that Ario knows that he threw his fight. So it's about the subtext between them. You know what I mean? And you can, that happens with other martial arts, guys that you've fought before in tournaments and stuff like that. There'll be little things dropped, and there'll be little moments of eye contact. And, in public places, it kind of just, bombs can be dropped by just a few subtle words, and it's left at that. So I wanted to flip it on its head. I didn't want Ario to come in pulling his faces and snarling and beating his chest. I wanted them to come in and have a respectful conversation and make it about what's lying deeper within them. And for two combat athletes, two men, to be able to have a conversation on that level and to be able to almost agree to, mutual combat to see who the better man is, without the money, without the lights, without the audience. It was just for them. It was just for them as two human beings, as two combat athletes, as two men, just willing to face each other and just say, okay, let's do this for us, not for anybody else, not for any money, not for any audience, not for anything. This is just for us. And both of them agreed to do it. And that's why there was also the respectful, okay, we know what the rules are and we'll both stick to them. And that's what the Ario Alex confrontation was about.
Now it resonated with me because you're talking about, a guy that comes in wanting to start, because I ran a martial arts school for over 25 years with my
Yeah,
boss and instructor, and I had situations like where there was a student, and he's kind of like, doing like what, kind of not mouthing off, but he's trying to show how bad he is and stuff like that. And I'm not gonna lie, there's this one situation, and my instructor and I are standing there, and he's fighting this one guy, the guy that we were having issues with, and it's not fighting. It was like, we had pads on. It was like point
yeah.
fighting and stuff like that. And I just looked at my boss, and my boss looked at me, and he just went like that. And I was like, so I went in, and I'm not gonna lie, I schooled the guy, and
You
at the
got to
end,
do it
he
sometimes. You got to.
he came up to me. He was like, I thought I was like the best, and then I didn't even see some of your kicks half the time. And I was like, it's like, and I said, as good as I am, I have so much to learn. I am, because when you get your black belt, it's just the beginning. It's like
100%.
exactly.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
let's talk about what we all came here to talk about, the finale, because this is like the oh my god, like I was like, what makes a good martial arts action film is now talk about the school. Is that like just a like a place to film, or was that your actual school, or was it just a
That's my school. That's my
okay?
actual
So
school.
you destroyed your school, is
Yeah,
what you're saying? Yeah, yeah.
we busted up my school big time. We broke everything: doors, windows, glass, accidental breakages, cabinets. All the glass was real. All the things.
Also,
I
it
mean,
wasn't even breakaway glass. It was like
it was real. Yeah, it was real safety glass, so it would shatter,
right.
obviously.
Okay, okay,
But
yeah, that's what I meant. Okay.
yeah, but it was not sugar glass. It was real glass. Yeah, so sugar glass can shard sometimes and it's things, but it was safety glass, that we would use to
Just like
that was real.
yeah,
You know,
like
uh,
it's like
cabinets.
there you
Yeah,
go. I
were
love it.
built. New. We had multiples of cabinets, and we used different types of wood and whatnot. What else did we do? The cabinet throws, when they were getting thrown through the cabinet in the reception area, they were the real cabinets, but we made sure they were safety glass, and they were cut and scored in certain ways so they would collapse for the stunt guy to go through. Yeah, just we really messed up the place.
I love
Um,
how you put the finale there, because it's kind of like that's where it should have been. That was your zone of sanctuary. Like because like you tell her, again, I'm paraphrasing, but you're like, I'm gonna, like if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it on my ground. They're gonna have to beat me at home, basically. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, and it gives. I mean, like, when you're on familiar turf or familiar ground, you always have a little bit of an advantage because you know the place well. You know the place, so much better. And he's put in an awful situation, isn't he? I mean, what's he going to do? He's got so many kids to take care of, but then there's
Right.
Terry risk. So the only thing that he knows he can do is, his plan was get them to come to the school. Let's get Terry, and then we'll call the police. We'll figure it out. That's the best way to go. He never in his
Now,
wildest dreams was he going to expect that it was going to turn out like this. You know what I mean?
now
But
there's
hey,
stages.
bad.
Yeah. Sorry, I just get excited. There's
No,
stages to this fight. Like this is the first stage, and again, this is like where you're like, you're just defending yourself. You're just like,
yeah,
it hasn't really elevated yet, type of thing. And this is your stunt team, right? Elite is what you call them.
yeah. Elite action design. Yeah, this is my
Okay, let
stunt.
me ask you one question, Bren. After you were done filming this movie, did you at least take these guys out to dinner? Because you beat the ever living piss out of these guys. They were just like,
Yeah,
where they were just like, yep, that's what we want. Just like throw us around and hit us as hard as you can.
look, they loved it, But all these body shots and whatnot, they're taking these throws, and there's some pinpoint accuracy. One of my favorites, I mean, this is they're getting their hands in the way. Like, see this,
Yes.
that we worked that too, like that axe kick and then push kick. So what we worked very carefully on, and we trained this for a while, John, is I'm trying to get the ball of my foot, and the stunt guy had to hold his head forward, and I have to make the ball of my foot for the push kick make contact with the forehead, but then slightly glance off so full power doesn't penetrate the head. And we would practice that slowly at first, you know, slowly. And we got it to the point where I could throw the kick, you know, very fast, still make contact, glance it off to the side. And we did the same thing with the axe kick. Axe kick is a little harder because of the, you know, it comes up and it's coming down. Push kick, you can control a little more. But the axe kick, I had to almost, it was like in midair, make contact and then slightly shift it off to the side because we want to get this. We needed to get that contact. For the axe kick coming up, we needed to get that contact, you know? One, because it looks great. Two, because the action audience deserve it, mate. And three, it was just awesome to be able to really train those little details rather than, we could have gone off to the side and not made contact or faked it. But we just really wanted to make sure it was real, you know, to the best of our ability, and you know, make sure everything was safe and no one was hurt, you know, and just being able to get that ball of the foot on the forehead or land the top of the foot on the axe kick, and glance and make contact, but still try and pull the power off to the side without hurting anyone. And we succeeded. We were able to do it.
What I also love, because you know, a pet peeve of martial arts action fans is like when, you know, the scene where there's multiple attackers and they're waiting, you know, like one guy attacks and then then the next guy attacks. But I love because again, you're a pro, so you're like, you know, you're having these guys come at you at the same time, and you're using the one guy against the other guy, you know, type of thing, you know. So that's the realism, you know, because that's what would happen. It's not, I mean, a guy's friend might hang out in this for a second or something and see what happens or something, but for the most part, they're gonna come at you, you know.
Yeah,
and, you know. And now this is a knife fight. This is a knife fight. Like this is my favorite part because I love a good knife fight, and I love how I love how it's on the stairs, and I love it's like how you're breaking walls, and like who's this guy? Give this guy props because this guy is freaking phenomenal.
This guy is an absolute legend, and he's one of very few people that can actually go full on speed with me. This is actually my nephew, Jimmy.
Okay, all right. So family affair. Okay,
Bren Foster. Yeah, and he is just he's a professional Muay Thai fighter. He just fought in Thailand recently, but he's an exceptional all-round martial artist as well. He's one of the guys that, you know, I get to pour all my knowledge in because, you know, one, he's family. He's like my son, and he's phenomenal, and he's a key member of the stunt team.
And that's where he falls on his knife. Also, let me rewind this a little bit.
And that is not him, the person who lifts up the mask.
Well, yeah, but exactly. But what I love about that fight is because one, the intricacy of it. Because again, there's nothing extreme. It's like this is like one of the hardest choreographed fights, I would think, because of the techniques and the hands, and you know, that's what I love. I mean, I love a good flashy kick, but this is what gets my blood pumping, is like this type of stuff.
We got a lot of like the Filipino martial arts and the knife stuff here too. Like you could see,
I trained in that too, and I loved like the takeaways and how you disarm them, and you know, the locks and that, like right there, like how, you know, that's what gets my blood pumping.
Yeah, this was cool. I mean, fortunate enough. A lot of my Filipino martial arts training was with Ron Balicki, who became a very close friend of mine over the years. But you know, I learned a lot from him. But I love this part too, John. That more, and the thing, I really love this stuff. And we just wanted to get something that was quite close and confined and
close quarters battle. That's what that's what it's all about. You know, is like when you're in tight like this and you have nowhere to move, and you know, there's no room for error basically. Because plus he has you know,
and you've got to be careful because even with fake knives, they've got a bit of an edge. And if the person doesn't know what the person you're fighting, if they don't have great skill, great control, great rhythm, you're still going to get hurt doing a knife fight. Like, all right, it may not be razor sharp, but that's still real steel and real timber at the end. So it's a weighted knife. You know what I mean?
Now this is where that elevates, because you know, again, that was an accident, but now like these guys have guns, you know, and there's like now it's getting extreme, because like before it was they're coming at you with martial arts and, you know, and stuff, but now it's knives and guns and everything. And this and like when knives and guns get involved, all bets are off. You know, it's
Exactly.
like, yeah.
Exactly. So this is where it starts to escalate, and he's still trying to go for that gun.
Yes,
the
I
other
love
guy,
that part. And yes, and you're trying, and you have to stop him because if he gets it, it's over. You know,
exactly,
so like,
yeah. And the other guy, he's almost like he has to get to the girls because that's what they're there for. So
so it's like a time thing. Like that's where the tense, it is. And again, then we say, oh, it's him. And but like you have such a long fight with him, though. I mean, because you fought him earlier, but now it's just like it's like eureka, type of. And then
yeah,
I love like getting involved too and everything. And then I thought he was done there, like oh okay, but no, he's not, type of thing.
that's he's such a titan. You got to bring him back and give him the worthy death that he ended up receiving, John.
Exactly. And now this part is like what we were talking about earlier. Because this is like where it's like this is like where Alex has like a transformation, because like I got to kill this guy because
Yeah.
And it's and it's like what, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right, and it's like yep, it's like and what that was again, that's when I'm covering my daughter's eyes. I'm like, okay, look away,
Yeah.
honey. You know what? She's like, can I watch now? That no, not yet, no, not yet. And like you see him gurgling blood. I'm like, nope, not yet, but and you're looking at him and you're just like, you want to know what's going on through Alex's mind, because it's like, yes,
Well,
I killed this man, but if I had, I would do it again because it was trying to get to the girls and to her.
Absolutely. And there's also that moment where he's putting everything together. It's like, shit, I know you. You're the guy that came in the dojo. And he starts to put it all together, like in his head. It's like, oh, okay, you were from Victor all along. Because he sees this guy. He's just killed the guy that he just, fought a couple weeks back,
So I'm going to get to hang on a second. I'm going to do some fast forwarding here. Oh, okay, hang on. Ooh, I just saw something really good. Hang on one second. Because then, like I said, you kicked him, and you thought he's down for the count, and then of course, nope, that's not the case. And then, and then you're trying to wipe the blood off. I love that part because, consequences, you have this poor guy's blood on your hands. It's like, you don't want this guy's blood on your hand. You just killed the guy. It's like, nobody wants that, type of thing. And then there's still more guys trying to get it. That's what I love about it. It's like, how many guys are in that van, type of thing, it's like, is there more? I'm like, yes, there is.
Yeah. There's 9
and
guys.
then you go past the first guy, and then it's like, and then you hear the door, and then you're like, ugh. And then you see him. Well, he's still lying there, and then you're like, "Come on already!" And it's like, "Is this?" And then because you tied the door, but he gets, and then here we go. And then I love this part because he distracts you, because like you said, you're a normal nice guy, and you're like, "Oh, okay," but then nope, and he's such an asshole. Life, of course, but. So, like you said, he didn't have like he was more of a stunt guy, but he didn't do like any like real formal screen fighting before.
Oh no, he does. No, he's
Mike's mistake.
Yeah, gotcha. No, he's got martial arts ability. He does, and he's got great rhythm to do fights with. But he's also an all rounder. He does cars. He does anything in the stunt world. He's one of those all-rounders that does it all.
Gotcha. Okay, my bad. Yep. and then again, I like it because these guys are getting back up. It's like, I mean, I like how in the hell are these guys getting back up?
Well, I do want to clarify some stuff on that because
Sure.
Look,
please.
These are mercenaries, and they've all got martial arts training. They're high-level soldiers. You know what I mean? Now, when you watch a boxing match, someone can get the bell rung and virtually knocked out, and within 10 seconds, sometimes they get up and they can keep fighting. In the UFC, someone can get knocked out cold, choked unconscious, and within a couple of minutes, they're walking back out. I remember being on the jiu-jitsu mat once, and in the United States, and I had a choke on someone, and they didn't tap, and they went out, and I stopped, and then they were out, and then in about 5-10 seconds, they woke up and they said, "Oh, did I go out?" I said, "Yeah." And they said, oh, okay, keep going. And then we just kept wrestling like nothing happened. So I think sometimes, you know, people might see this, it's like, oh, but they've already been knocked out. How can they get back up? Well, in boxing, we see people get knocked out. UFC, we get people knocked out, choked out. And within a couple minutes, they're back up again. So in reality, you hit someone, they don't stay knocked out unless they're, you know, virtually, you know, catatonic or almost in a coma. But these guys are tough guys. So they might get, you know, choked out or knocked out for a little while, but being who they are, they wake up in a few minutes, you know. And then what do they want to come back and fight.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so they want to come back.
And then you just threw him through the thing, but he's like, I'm okay. It's just a flesh wound, you know, type of thing. And it's like, and then the guy that you threw into the wood over there, then I love how you cut away and you just see these guys. Then he's like, oh, he's getting back up. You're like, it's like, and
like
then
that's what he has to do to stop these guys. He has to like.
You're like, these guys aren't stopping. They're getting back up. No. Normal hitting is not going to do this. I have to kill these people or else none of us are walking out of here.
Exactly. That is exactly right. You know what I mean? That's exactly
symbolic. Like this is all so symbolic, you know, because like, you know, I called you the Punisher in this movie, but I mean, like, you know, because you turn into the Punisher, but for good reason. You know, I'm even wearing my Punisher shirt, but I just, oh God, Bren, this is just, it's like one of the best finales. It's just like, it's just such a, and I love the flying knee. I mean, how you get aerial, like how you get air with that. And how, okay, so another thing I wanted to ask you, this is such a long sequence, like this finale. How did you choreograph it, like, and keep it, like, so it didn't look the same? You know what I mean? Like, because for such a long sequence, you know, you want to make everything, you know, like stand out and everything.
Absolutely. And you want to fill the space. Look, I think we just saw just before this, we saw some punching, and then there's a big angle change, and then there's some long range weapon with the kicks. And then he goes down, and we feel the space going down, but then it turns into the jiu-jitsu, and we seamlessly roll into that jiu-jitsu, and then we back up again, and we hear, okay, and now the kick comes, and we transition. We're just about to go into a break, so boom, that pops things, boom, a little bit of balance.
Well, I missed there, but it's still cool. I mean, you missed it, but it was still cool. I still loved it.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, because you know, there's not always pinpoint accuracy in fights. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, he's a bit like scrambled, a bit disorientated. And that was one of the beautiful things about the raid. The raid was always a little bit messy to me, which I loved. And because, you know, he's also dealing with exhaustion right now after fighting everyone. And, you know, here, Alex gets his butt whooped here. You know, it's almost to a point where you think, oh, he's done, you know. And this is the time where he wants to quit again, because he's quit before and he wants to lie down, but there's something inside him that just says, you know, as in a good old Mickey from Rocky, one more time, just get up, one more time.
And that's what I loved about it too, because like watching it for the first time, it's like, well, you know, the bad guys are going to get what's coming to them, but there's a chance that Alex might not make it out of this. You know, Absolutely. He might have to sacrifice himself for the greater good. It's like, this might not have a happy ending type of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, exactly, mate.
So, and then like, and I love this because like your expressions and how, because like, it's like, I don't want to do this anymore type of thing.
Yeah. He's human, you know, he's not a superhero, and human beings, we all have our limits. No one is limitless. But what he says here almost lights a fire inside him and says, you got to keep going. And he finds it. You can see Alex's eyes with what he said. He's absolutely disgusted. And it just finds that last little ditch effort in all his exhaustion and all his beating and all his fatigue, just enough to give him a cracker of a shot, which allows him to find rest. But look, he looks over at him. He's done. Alex is done here.
This is the Rocky, but this is what I talk about, like Apollo 3. They both fall at the same time. Yeah, absolutely. It's like he's getting up, you're getting. Of course, you know, that's a different.
Right here, John. We were people in the, like on Wednesday, like cinema showing. They're going, get up, Alex, get up, like screaming at the top of their lungs. I've never experienced anything like it.
my daughter was doing that. She's like, Daddy, is he gonna get back up? He's like, he's gonna get back up, honey. Just watch, just watch. You know, and then she was getting scared for you because she was like, you know, she knew it's a movie, but she's like, I don't want this bad man to win. You know, and she's so cute, like when she's talking about it. I'm like, that's my girl.
That's adorable, mate. That's adorable.
But like how you finally dispatch him, I mean, because it's coming up. I'm like, that's again, that was like one of the best kills like that I've seen in a while. Because and I love how like you're just like, because this like the beast is out, like it's like,
Yeah,
because it's like you're a different person right now, and like, you know, this guy's not stopping, but you're like, okay, now I'm not stopping either, because now you realize, I mean, if I quit, not only am I dead, but so is, you know, Samantha and the girls. So it's like
yeah,
I have to
exactly.
keep going.
Exactly. He has to keep going, and it's he's using his skills to a different level right now, to the point where he's really just trying to destroy you know,
And then there's
someone. Yeah, he just has to destroy. There's no more. There's no more kind Alex left. It's like it's
yeah,
time to
I'm
be.
not gonna lie. I covered my daughter's eyes. I was like, "Yep." I was like, so before we get to the last part, which is Ethan, which again is a showstopper in itself. I'm fast forwarding here. Let's talk about. Hang on a second. Let's talk about you using the difference between weapons and hands and feet. So like, because that's another thing I like how you fluctuate back and forth, you know, because there's sometimes you got martial arts movies where it's just hands and feet, or you know, and stuff like that, and then sometimes, you know, it's weapons, but again, it's like it's like the perfect blending of, you know, it goes from like training weapons, you know,
Yeah,
like swords and stuff like that, but then it goes into more extreme. So talk about, you know, like incorporating, you know, empty hand to weapons. You know what I'm saying?
I think, look, they faced off with each other, and just by the, you know, the mere fact that they're in a martial arts school, there's training
Right.
weapons around like bows and bokens and whatnot, and you know, especially at the end, they face off in empty hand, but through just where the fight gravitates, you see Ethan getting thrown into the swords, and boom, just them are exploding everywhere, and straight away he's like, "Whoa, okay, I just got thrown for a sixer. That was a big throw." I bet. Well, and he gets straight away. He just pulls up that sword, and then the way he's holding it, the tip out. Alex was like, "Oh wow, okay, I'm in a bit of trouble now. This guy seems he knows that this guy knows his way around a sword."
Right.
Um, so after the empty hand, even with the empty hand stuff, this guy's a challenge for Alex. It's a different system of martial arts. Even if you look at this handwork in the beginning, there's a lot of you know, trapping, wiping, Filipino martial arts in there, a few kind of Salat based moods, but just incorporate into a more functional kind of approach. There's a lot of intricacy stuff going on in there, the pushing, pulling, and you know, in transferring that Filipino type stuff into the like power shots and punches, and then bang, the taekwondo comes, and we're coming here, we're throwing the back fists, the knees, the kicks over the head, high, low, high, trapping, elbows, boom, whack. There's just so much going on there, and to get it at that speed, that took a lot of work. And then we're filling the space, we're bringing it down, we're going into the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu here too. But we're not just stopping, like things are happening here, you know. And here, look, there's an over-under wrestling grip. He gets hooks the legs, takes him down, knee, and then boom, whack into a throw. And then again, there's no relent. It's just bang, go. And here, red sleeves, you know, that's his nickname for me. He feels like, whoa, okay, I just went for a bad throw. So he buys himself some time and gives himself a little advantage by pulling the weapon into it. And Alex, you can see Alex knows he's in trouble now.
And then again, like I said, like with the choreography, like how long did it take? Like how many days, or like did it take you to film the finale of this?
The whole 40 minutes took quite some time, because I got injured halfway through it in classic Jackie Chan fashion.
Did okay.
So I tore my hip, and we had to come back about 4 or 5 weeks later. And because
pause filming so you could recuperate. Wow.
yeah,
Okay. Now, minus that, like take that out, like on a whole, like when you were like, good to go, like how long did it take you to film this finale?
I would say it probably
Like the
took
whole
us about 2 weeks.
Okay.
2 weeks in terms of like 5 days, weekend off, 5 days. So about 10 days of filming.
Hang on a second. It got to a point where I just wanted to talk to you about because I got like a kind of like a Jackie Chan moment.
Yeah.
At least when I watched it. Let me see if I can get to it. I hate there's the only thing I don't like about YouTube because you can't see like when you're fast forwarding. Hang on. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Okay. You got the boat, right? I love this part. Like I got excited, because it's like you're like, all right, and then you do the you start hitting him with it, right? But then okay, and then he's doing his list, and then I love that part. Like you're tapping the ground with it. It's like I got like a Jackie Chan vibe, like because that's something like he would do, like in one of his movies. He would be like, kind of like doing this, and then he'd be like teasing him or something like that.
Yeah, you know what, John, my wife is going to love you because she loves that moment. Okay, I'll tell you where that comes from. I did a lot of sparring with the Filipino martial arts where I'd wear like a hockey helmet, gloves, and with the stick. I did some with obviously Ron, but I did a lot with Nick Padakis from the Dog Brothers. And
Yes.
one of the things I would like to do when I would stick sparring, I'd hold the stick low and I'd tap it, and then I would like explode forward in an upward strike, or I would explode forward with a big thrust. And in sparring, it would always work for me. I'd always end up getting the shot in, and because I just keep the stick low, there's just a short stick, not a long stick, the Carly stick, and just tap, boom, and then explode into it when we were sparring, and it worked quite well for me. And it wasn't planned. And it was just, we started to go again. And the first time I was just like, all right. And then it just came to me. So I just started tapping the stick on the floor. I do, now that you do mention it,
Like, right. It's like you're teasing. It's like you're like, it's like you're, okay. It's like you're kind of like, come on, mother effer. It's kind of like that type of thing. It's like,
yeah.
You think you're bad. Well, that's the kind of vibe I got. And I love it's like the simple thing. Like I've been watching martial arts action movies since, for decades. And it's the little things that get me super excited. And you do that. I got all giddy, because like I said, it's something like that, or Donnie Yen. You could see Donnie Yen doing something like that, like he would do. Like you ever see his fight with Wu Jing and SPL, where he's, he's got, and he's got in his hand, he's kind of taunting him with it. That's the kind of
love it. That's one of my favorite fights of all time when he fights Wu Jing, yeah. And Donnie's got the extendable baton and
the baton, and he's like, he's doing his Donnie Yen thing, right? And then Wu Jing's doing his Wu Jing, and then like it's like he's taunting him with it, and that's the kind of vibe I got like when you did that, and I just got the biggest smile on my face, and I'm like, Bren Foster gets it, he's God bless Bren Foster. Because
thanks, John. Yeah, I think that's
right there. That's the pick right there, because we talked about force of execution and how you got butchered with that one kick. And
yes,
is that why you put that in? You're like, look, this is how you do it. Is that why you did that?
Yeah, look, I always wanted to get that on screen in a movie. So I thought, what better place than right here, And look, sometimes things happen. Look, Force of Execution had a wonderful director, Keanu Waxman.
I'm not saying ill will about anybody, but you did mention how you did it, but then you only showed two of the feet landing, where it's like there's 4 or 5 feet landing.
Yeah, no, you're 100%. Yeah, you're 100% right, John. It was a triple and a spin side, but when it came back at the edit, it looked like just a push and a jump back kick, and I was like, what happened to the other 2 kicks?
Yeah, and if I was you, I would have been, again, I would have been mad. I would have been like,
I would
be like, what? And as soon as you did that, I got it. I was just like, I know why he did that. I'm like, one, it looks freaking kick ass, but it's like, but then it's like, because he would have been like, this is how it should have been. And it's like, it's unfortunate that it had to be your movie, like, because you get it. Hello. It's beautiful. I'm like I said, it's like poetry. It's like ballet. It's like a ballistic ballet, because it. Oh, I get. Can you tell I'm excited? My heart's
I
pumping.
like that term, ballistic ballet. That's cool.
Yes, yes, yes. But it's just like I said, it's the little thing, and it's like, how do you? Okay, how do you stay in the air for so long to land that many feet on somebody? It's
Yeah, there was a big stage through my training where I was just heavy into the demonstration stuff with board breaking and whatnot. So yeah, I just get through training. I like to jump. Even as a kid, I like to jump a lot and do flashy kicks and stuff like that. But I guess it's just training, John. Get up, practice it. If you can think it, then try and do it and see how you go. But as long as you're persistent with it, you'll get the results with the jumping kicks, I think.
All right, so again, that's pretty much the end of the kick ass, because then of course we all know Victor comes in,
Yeah.
and no offense to Samuel, but he'd be late to his own funeral because he's like outside and he's like, I'm like, will you just get in there already and like freaking stop this, because this man's gonna die. And it's like, and he's like this, and he's like, I'm like, just I got mad. I'm like,
I get it. I get it. But if you
get in there.
like, just in Samuel's defense, like as a police officer, he's got no idea what's going on,
I
and
okay, yes, I know.
he's heard gunshots, so he's like, whoa. He looks. I wanted some, like, some of the SEALs that I know from the United States and the cops and stuff that I've trained. I wanted them to see that and go, all right. He's heard the gunshot. Boom. He has to find cover. He has to see and assess where that's coming from. Is it someone trying to, shoot him from somewhere? What is going on? And then he gets his back to the wall. He hits the wall. He checks his side. No one's there. He checks here. He sees an opening in the door. And he's tentative because he's heard a gunshot. So he knows that there's bullets. So he's also there's a little bit of self-preservation in there. So, yeah, that a few people have mentioned, wouldn't he get quicker? I go, but there's his instinct and his protocol as a police officer has to kick in. He has to make sure that he's safe, and he doesn't really know where it's coming from. He's trying to gauge it and gauge
That's
the
and yeah, I get, yeah, okay, you make a good point. Like if he just ran in there, he's like, who the hell knows what, like what I'm gonna run into type
pop
of thing.
someone shoots him, you know what I mean? So
And
yeah,
plus
so
that's
the
the
thought went
drama.
into that.
That's just drama, because it's like, and then we all know Victor comes in, and then again, and then again, I mean, again, spoiler, it does have a happy ending. I mean, you survive. I mean, she gets shot. Samantha gets shot. You get
Yeah,
shot like 3 or 4 times, for God's sakes. I'm like, everybody's getting shot. I'm just like, is anybody gonna live? I'm like, it's just like, wow. I was like, this. I'm like, you just went for it all, in
yeah,
terms of drama. I mean, you weren't lying, because I remember when I interviewed you the first time before I saw this movie, you said heavy drama. Yeah, there. I mean, you got heavy action, but yeah, there's heavy drama in it, because like that ending right there, like with Victor and everything, I was just like, I was getting mad. I was just like,
yeah. That's good. Good. Yeah. Good. I'm glad. It evokes some of those emotions in you, John. It sounded like you let it take you for the ride. So I really appreciate that, my friend.
So yeah, so okay, so I want to thank you for taking me through those, again, because I just because because I'm the special features guy on a Blu-ray or a 4K or so. I love to watch, like, how it's done, because I'm a martial artist, and
Yes.
everything, and I love, that's why I like, picking your brain. It's like, because when I watch this movie, I'm like, there's so many questions I have, in a good way. It's
Yeah.
like, and type of thing. And okay, and like I said, that's why I want, because again, Vertical Entertainment, God bless them, they distributed your movie, but for I was getting mad, and again, you could be politically correct, but I don't have to, because this is my show. They put the trail there was a trailer, then it got taken down, then the trailer came up again, and then they can't take it down, and then they put up like 2 days before the movie came out. I was like, what in the flying frick is going on right now? And I was like, I got mad, Brett. And I was like, that's it. I'm gonna do my best to support this movie. I'm gonna write a review. I'm gonna do a video review. I'm gonna like try to tell as many people as I can about it, because it's like, why wouldn't you, like, again, Vertical? God bless them. God bless Vertical Entertainment for bringing this movie out. But what the hell are they thinking in terms of promoting the movie? I'm like, I'm sorry. I just had to put that out there.
No, no, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
And Brent,
Um,
but I can't say anything. I'm not gonna say anything. It's like it's okay though. I'll say it for you. God damn it! I'm like, I'm sorry. No.
oh dear. But yeah, look, I am so grateful for your response to the film, John. And I know it's a genuine response. I know if you didn't like it, I know you'd tell me. There's been some great reviews, from people, and people that aren't shy. That in the past, when they haven't liked something, they've been vocal about it and they've said it. And I think that's the best thing you can do as a voice of a critic and someone reviews people. It's when you don't like something, you say it, and when you do like something, you do say it. And in turn, that just gives you a real honest approach, and people respect that, and it gives people credibility. So I genuinely appreciate that you love the movie and you allowed it to take you for a ride. And I thank you for all the support too, John. It means a lot, because I know that you watch everything, you go over everything, and when you don't like something, you say you don't like something. And I've heard you say that too. So about
I'm respectful though. Like, there's people that are like that'll just piss over people. Like, because even if I didn't like it, there's still people who put their heart and soul into
yeah,
making something, and I actually feel sad or guilty that if I don't like it. I'm like,
yeah,
it's like but there's just people out there because okay, I'm not gonna say who it was. I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus, but I had one person come at me and said that he saw your movie and then he said it was nothing different from what he's seen before. And I just wanted to read. I'm gonna be like, what are you talking about? I'm like, okay, I'm done. I give up. I don't know what else. I don't know what else to do. I mean, and again, some people aren't going to get it. It's fine, And you know better than everybody. I mean, when you put work out there for people to see, you have to have thick skin, because there are going to be people that are going to be like, that sucked, And
of course. Of course, like there's some people so there's been a few. I remember I read one review, and they said, this isn't even funny. There's three fights, and then there's no more martial arts in this movie, and there's all kicking in
I
the
saw
air.
that. I saw
There's
that one.
kicking in
I was
the air.
like,
I'm like, oh come on, you haven't even watched the movie. You know what I mean? And then there's been a few reviews which is the same person, like an Angela and then a Hessam, but they've word for word, the grammar's exactly the same, and they've said the same thing. So it's exactly the same person, which one of my students brought to me and said, "Oh, look, this is all the same person, Bren. Just you can tell." Oh, okay. So I try not to look at those reviews. And look, you're not going to keep everyone happy, and that's okay. It's art. It's subjective. Some people are going to like it. Some people aren't. Then you're going to have some haters as well. But I can, say that overwhelmingly it's been absolutely, everything's been great. We've probably, I think we're on about 20 reviews now, and I think the worst one is like a 7 out of 10, and it's still positive, and that's just saying. So every single review has been great. We've had great ones from you, great ones from Lee over at Film Combat Syndicate, great ones from Brad at Kung Fu Kingdom just the other day.
I just read his. Yeah, I saw his today. Yep.
Even Mum's movie reviews, who's this older mum, who seems very sweet. She did a written review and a video review, and that's a completely demographic to what our movies are, kind of. But she's come on board, and she loves it as well. But yeah, like every single critics or reviewers review has been positive. So look, the response has just been overwhelmingly great. So I'm super stoked that we've been able to have such a broad positive thing. And as I said, look, you can't keep everyone happy. You've got a few people that, like you said, oh, there's nothing new or this and that. And that's okay. They're entitled to their prerogative and their opinion. But overall, you can see that it's overwhelmingly positive, overwhelmingly well received, and people are absolutely loving it. So I am super grateful and super happy that we've been able to make people happy with what we've done.
Now, like, this was your directorial debut, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How the hell was your freshman effort? Like, like, okay. Like, okay, so I mean, because you, like I said, you've been in the industry for many years. I don't want to make either one of us sound old, but like, some people aspire like years to reach a movie. Like, again, there's sometimes where I watch an action movie where it's like, oh, this person's acting, or cheesy, or this. There is not 1 ounce of like I've seen it like 3 or 4 times. Like
Right.
everybody's acting is stellar. Like everybody's committed. There's not one person in this movie you'd be like, oh, that person sucks at acting, or like again, like the length of the movie. I think it's a perfect length for to establish the characters and to get everybody on board and to make you
Yeah.
care about these people. So when the violence does happen, because there's nothing worse than an action movie where you don't give a crap if the guy lives. It's like, I don't care. I was like, oh, that was good action, but it's like I couldn't really give 2 craps if this kid. So again, I can't commend you enough. I just want, like, okay, so like, is this the trajectory you're on right now? So it's like, are you ever gonna do like somebody else's project, or you're gonna just be like, I'm just gonna make my movies the way I want to?
I think that's a really good question, John. I mean, I just spent 4 months on a TV show called Last King, John Ibrahim's Last King of the Cross. So that was okay, but it just also cemented for me that I really want to do my own stuff. It's not that I won't do other projects if the right project comes about and whatnot, but I think being able to invest so much of what you want to do, because life is short and time goes, John. It goes over and over and over, and once time is gone, we can never get it back. And I think I already waited too long. I wish I did this 10 years ago. But unfortunately I didn't. I've done it now, so everything is as it's supposed to be. But it's a hard thing to go back now. I think working this way, I was unstifled. I was uninhibited. I didn't have anything or anyone I had to navigate around. I was able to do what I wanted to do. I was able to bring the characters to life that I wanted to bring to life. And it's just going to be a little bit, and it's going to be so time consuming. I think just working on my own projects and the stuff that Navid and I and our team want to get up, because we have a whole team. It's not just me. There's, we have a whole team of people, producers and, our stunt team, and they all want to do more stuff. And oh God, it's a long-winded question. So look, yes, I will do other jobs if they come about,
Right.
providing they excite me, and if they're exciting, but I still very much, I think the time and the effort needs to go into cultivating our own brand and pushing that forward, because I think we've just shown that we can prove and we can create something that's pretty good.
I have a vision, Bren. I have this vision in my head. And again, this goes like, because I'm such a fan of yours and I'm a fan of a lot of people's, but like, I have this vision of you making movies and like incorporating all these other martial arts. Like, I envision you fighting Scott Adkins, Jason Statham, Eco
Yeah.
US. I just like, okay, this is what I, this is what,
Three guys there. I would like to fight all three of them on screen.
but and that's just to start off. I have this laundry list, but again, I don't want to keep you too long because you've been great and everything. But I just get upset, like, because studio executives have no freaking clue what we want in our action movies. They're guys and gals in suits sitting in a desk around a desk, and I'm not saying that we don't get good stuff, because we do get the John Wicks and and stuff like that. But a lot of times I watch like Hollywood productions, and I'm just like this. I'm just like, okay, let me go watch some independent action cinema, because you guys are the ones that get it. Like, and again, I talked to Jesse Johnson, who's
Yeah.
and William Kaufman, and I've talked to Scott Adkins 8 or 9 times, and I'm like, you guys know what we want to see, and then that's why like this trend of stunt guys becoming filmmakers, like Sam Hargrave.
Yeah.
Now we got J.J. Perry, who I love,
Yeah.
is now, now he's got his new movie coming out, The Killer's Game, with Dave Bautista, and it's got like a laundry list of karate guys in it.
Awesome.
Because these guys know, and like what we want to see as action fans. Like, Life After Fighting, it's like, you knew how to shoot it, you knew how to do the action, because and that's just what I wanted to tell you, because I've actually seen it, and it's like, I can't wait. Do you know what you're? I mean, even if you can't say, what you're doing. I mean, do you already have your next thing lined up?
We have, yeah, look, we have two scripts. We have a third one too. But I think we have to decide which one it's going to be.
Okay.
So right now, I think we've got a couple of more weeks just riding this way with Life After Fighting. I've got like, God, what is it? Supernova. It went off my head. Supernova this weekend. A few other promotional things we have to do next week, and then I think after that it's going to quieten down because here in Australia we get the video on demand release come August, and then
Do you
there'll be
know
a
about
little
a physical media release for this in the States?
I think there will be. Yeah, I think there will be. I'm not sure when that will come about though,
Okay.
but I'm pretty sure that there will be.
Because I need the physical media. Like I have it on digital. I mean,
Yeah,
but I need the.
I want a copy
I'm
of
a physical guy, as you can see. So yeah, I need the physical. But I'm just gonna wrap up by saying, like I said, 5 out of 5. Like I said, I mean, don't be surprised if at the end of the year when I do my best of 2024, yours is number one because, like I said, it blew me away. Like, and this is after I saw The Beekeeper, of course, with Jason Statham, which I thought was one of his best movies. Land of Bad was one of the best military action movies I've seen in a long time. And like I said, now you got with the martial arts drama. I mean, it's kind of like a trinity. Like you got Jason Statham's action movie, then you got the military, now you got martial arts drama with you. So, like I said, I can't say enough good things about it, and I just hope that I steered people in. Well, I know there's one guy on Twitter that I steered in the right direction because he messaged me. He was like, "Oh my God, Jed, I'm so glad I listened to you. This is like the greatest movie ever." I'm like, "See, I told you." So,
Awesome.
but again, I can't. And again, thank you so much for taking the time. And again, in the future, like I have so much planned to talk to you about, and whenever you can make time, and I'll talk to you a little bit just for a couple minutes after we're done
Yeah.
recording. So don't go away. But everybody else, if you have not seen Life After Fighting, if you're an action cinema fan, you need to check this movie out. It's on digital, it's on video on demand. I just read it again on YouTube so that way I could get the fight scenes. I was telling Bren like before I had it on Fandango and it wasn't showing up and I was freaking out. So I was like, I just supported it again. Why the hell not? And I'm gonna buy the physical media when it comes out because damn it, this movie deserves it. And like I said, it might be one of my best movies. Any closing comments for the fans before I close up shop, Mr. Foster?
No, just want to thank everyone who's watched it and supported the film. And I appreciate you, all the people that have given us the great reviews, including yourself. And if the film hasn't come to your country yet, please wait. Don't use the pirate channels because that just makes it harder for us. Yeah, it makes it hard, and it's not just for me. This is for everyone's movie, whether it's Donnie Yen's, whether it's Scott Adkins' movies. It's like, just don't do it, guys, because it kills the industry. It makes it harder for us to make movies again. Just wait until it comes through the appropriate channels and enjoy it the right way, because without you guys, without the fans, these movies aren't possible.
I'm glad you said that because I get flack sometimes because people tell me, "Oh, you get screeners because PR people send you stuff, to watch, to review." I'm like, yes, they do, but I still support it. When it comes out, I still buy it. I still buy the digital. I still buy the Blu-ray. I'm like, yes, of course I get screeners because I run a website where people want me to review their stuff, but I still go now. If I don't like it, I'm not gonna buy it, but that doesn't happen a lot of times. I'm like, most of the time I like the stuff and I still go out and I buy. I'm like, so for everybody out there, I still support. I just supported his movie twice and a third time when it comes out on physical media. So Bren, again, thank you so much. Enjoy the success with this one. And I said stick around after I stop so that way we could just say proper goodbyes until next time. So it's on. So again, everybody check it out. My review's up, my video review, my written review. Now this is going to be up. So if this doesn't get you to watch the movie, I don't know what else I can do. So until then, everybody, remember actionflix.com. We are your ultimate destination for your action fix. Bren Foster is your ultimate destination for your action fix because this movie rocks it, as you can see from everything that we did. So until next time, everybody, have a good one. Good night.